introduction. I hope you can hear me at the end. Yeah. Okay, maybe it will be better if I stand. So I'm going to tell you a bit about Never Again Association, what kind of organization we are, and some topics, some main problems about hate crimes and hate speech in Poland. Never Again Association was established in 1996, and our mission, because that is how we understand it, is to counter-react racism, xenophobia, and intolerance. And our main task to do was and still is to provide hate crime monitoring. For years we have been asked, racism in Poland, are you sure? It was something strange. People, journalists, even people interested in this kind of problems didn't want to believe that there is something like racism in Poland. And our job was to inform, to show that it's not a main social problem, but still there are some aggressive attacks against minorities because of skin color, religion, language. And we also have been provided some educational campaigns against racism and ethnic prejudices. At the end I'm going to tell you more about them. And so to break the silence and raise the awareness of the problem of racism and xenophobia, and also to do that, we built and still try to build a movement against racism. Never Again is a network of volunteers, and you are all welcomed to join us, to support us. You can use Facebook. We now are in Warsaw, so it's possible. One of the students of yours, I met with her 2 days ago, and she started an internship in Never Again, and she declared that she's going to be our volunteer as long as it's possible. So that's great, and we try to not only talk about this negative phenomenon, but also we try to show that multiculturalism and diversity, it's something that has value. It's not against Poland as far-right wants to show it, but it's something that has a value in a different sphere of lives. And the Brown Book, the author of the Brown Book was Marcin Kornak, the founder of Never Again Association. When he was 15, he had an accident and he moved on a wheelchair. Despite this, he organized Never Again, and from the small informal group of youth, Never Again became a group of experts, of people who know what to do, and they do it regularly for years. And Brown Book, it's a kind of chronicle. We describe aggressive incidents and crimes against people because of their skin color, religion, language, and because they belong to, or in the eyes of perpetrator, they belong to some minority group. And we are fully aware that it's not possible to describe every hate crime in Poland and every hate speech, so we gather just examples. But even by gathering the examples, we can see the tendencies. And since the middle of 2015, the number of hate crimes in Poland rose dramatically. And it was connected with this humanitarian crisis, with refugee, and discussion, or maybe the better word is to hysteria in Poland around the refugees, because in Poland we almost have no refugees, but in that time, in 2015, it became as a main problem, social problem, and it was used by politicians for their ideological aims, because it was the time of the election campaigns. And the main topic of the election campaigns were refugees who no one can see them in Poland. But these people, they became a kind of figure in language. Muslim, it meant terrorist, it meant the enemy of Poland. We have to be afraid of them. We don't want any refugees in Poland. That was the main message. And the result of it was the bigger number of hate crimes. People were attacked because perpetrators very often just thought they were Muslims. Dark skin color, it was often enough to attack someone because of such reasons. And the enemies, created enemy, it has changed, and I'm going to tell you more about it later, but still we have this experience in Poland how easy it is to create an enemy for political, ideological reasons. Few months it's enough to see some group of people are as enemies. And to provide hate crime monitoring, we do it with the help of our volunteers. We also cooperate with some minorities organizations, and it's everyday hard work because we must read and check some selected websites. In the past, before the internet, we used newspapers, we used magazines, and nowadays it's easier to get such information, and also there is much more such information, and we are not able to reach all of them. Also social media, maybe not every, but many of the far-right radical nationalists manifestations, there are well documented in the social media with photos, films, with description. So we just have to find it and to describe it. And also here you are unique because many of them are from abroad, and for sure you have such personal experience to be discriminated, to even be someone who was attacked because of her nationality and language. If you want to share us with it, if you want to, we publish it in Brown Book, please write to me. As you will see, we don't publish any surnames of the victim. No one will recognize you, but the Brown Book is the only such kind of publication in Poland. Hate crime, hate speech, it's some very sensitive topic. Many people don't want to report it to anywhere, and the Brown Book can become a publication that your bad experience will be not forgotten, that it will be a kind of testimony. And as I said about informing people about racism, this is how it started. We collect very bad experiences. So if you want to share it with us, please do it. And now I would like to show you some examples how it looks like, how we do it. I'm going to read it. It's long, but it's worth, I think. Warsaw. On March, Jacek Międlar, a former Catholic priest and extreme right activist, posted video on YouTube in which he praised Brenton Tarrant, the perpetrator of a terrorist attack in Christchurch. In Christchurch, 51 people were killed in mosques. Międlar described his motives as follows. What does it mean to stand up for the protection of white Europe? It means saying a firm no to the propaganda that leads to the mixing of different races, the mixing of the black race with the white race, and the mixing of different cultures. In the further part of the statement, Międlar stated that the term multiculturalism means flooding white Europe, destroying the white race. We shouldn't deal with this problem with guns, swords, or beheadings. However, in self-defense, it can be necessary to use a knife, a gun, some kind of force. The question is, what is self-defense? Finally, Międlar stated, the main denominator of Brenton's manifesto is correct. to stand up for the white race, white Europe. In this one example, we can see a complex of problems. First of all, social media and YouTube. Miendar has published many such videos with anti-Semitic, xenophobic, even fascist comments. After that film, there were some people reported Miendar, and YouTube closed his profile. That was very good and surprising news. But of course, Miendar opened immediately some other profile, and he did the same. And it shows how easy it is to spread a hateful message through the internet to many people. And I mentioned here YouTube, but also Facebook and Twitter. Never again is cooperating with INAH. It's some international network against cyber hate. And last month we did some kind of exercise. We reported probably 50 hateful comments to Facebook, to Polish Facebook, and some other countries also participated in it, and only Poland was the country that Facebook even has not replied. No one deleted the comments, but even no one replied. And it shows that it's possible in Poland, in Polish Facebook, to publish everything that you want without any consequences. Coming back to Miendar, he is very interesting man because he is a former Catholic priest. He was deleted from the church because of his hateful comments that he made many public statements. He participated in far-right manifestations as priest, and when he left the church, he became one of the far-right leader. And for example, in March he co-organized an extreme nationalist march. Participants of the demonstrations displayed a huge banner with the slogan "Death to enemies of the homeland," which was also chanted alongside displaying flags with Celtic crosses, symbols which are well known to be associated with racism and far right. They also shouted "Jews, communists, worse than Nazis," and baptized with penknives. It was related to the Jews. The city authority dissolved the assembly, and in response to this decision, Miendar, along with other demonstrators, chanted "Down with the Jewish occupation." So it's just one example of many such kind of manifestations that have been organized in Poland. Many of them, I remember the second part of 2015, it was September, during one weekend, more than 20 such kind of manifestations were organized against refugees. In Poland, there are almost no refugees. And Miendar, there are some charges against him, but he still got only one sentence, some social work to do. He made things like that many times. He was main organizer, and he shouted such comments, which should be illegal according to the Polish penalty code, but he can do what he wants, I would say now. And you can see this banner, "Death to the enemies." Death to enemies of the homeland, and it's some examples how this slogan that was used by some underground Polish unit, nationalist unit during the Second World War, and today such slogans has completely different meaning. What does it mean to be enemies of homeland? Who decides about that? And also you can see that he also has this slogan on his clothes. This is Jacek Miendar. Some other example of hate speech On March, Grzegorz Braun, a candidate to the European Parliament from the list of Confederation, when interviewed in a live broadcast via YouTube on Real 24, its internet TV, made the following statement. Nowadays, I am in favor of penalization of homosexual activity in general. When asked to elaborate in general completely, he answered in the affirmative and added, yes, I postulate that sodomy as such is punishable. During the interview, he used other abusive expressions for homosexual people, including, there will be no perverts raising our children. Referring to Robert Biedroń, the leader of Spring, a social democratic political party, he said, a public and professional sodomite, he should go to prison. Braun is now, in October, he became a member of Polish parliament. So he has now great opportunity to say publicly such things. Also, I wanted to show it to you because of this Real 24 internet TV. It's just one example how material they publish. And the studio, I don't know where is it, but as you can see, this building with the letter P is very close where we are. And this building, it's called Pasta. It's a building of Polish telephone agency, and it's a very symbolic building because in 1944, during the Warsaw uprising, it was the place where Poles were able to defeat Germans and take it and took the building. Here you can see how badly destroyed the building was. And nowadays, this building is a symbol of fighting with fascism. And the studio of this television, Real 24, is located just right here. Last year, in January, we visited Warsaw authorities and talked with them about that. But it's shocking that such hateful television is located in such important building for Warsaw, but not only for Warsaw, for Polish identity. And the Warsaw authorities were not interested in doing with it anything. And this such kind of language, of message, you can visit. I do not recommend it, but you can visit and see how many people watch it, and most of the films are hateful. Some other examples what we monitored in Brown Book. Otwock is a small city close to Warsaw. In April, the police were informed of damage done to a plaque commemorating local Jews murdered by the Germans during the World War II. The plaque was located on the site of a mass grave in which approximately 2,000 Jews were buried in August and September 1942. Unknown perpetrators painted two swastikas on a stone slab. It looked like that. So we also describe such kind of damage that someone destroyed the cemeteries that belonged to the national minorities, or places like that were built to commemorate murdered Jews. Some other example of such activity is in Oświęcim, in Auschwitz. In April, during the Easter holidays, the word Juda hung on the set of gallows was painted on the wall of Jewish cemetery. It was quickly cleaned by, I don't remember it, by authorities or local people, but 2 days after the devastation it was cleaned. And some other sphere of such phenomena as racism and xenophobia, football stadiums. Częstochowa, in April, during the semi-finals of the Polish Football Cup between Raków and Lechia, visiting hooligans displayed a Third Reich flag with a Celtic cross in the middle. And Never Again carries out social campaign, let's kick racism out of the stadiums. And one of the reasons for us to start this campaign was to remove such flags and the shoutings from the stadiums. Stadiums in Poland are still the place where young people can be engaged to be active in far-right organizations. And now, when it comes to show such content, such flags, now it's better than in the past, but still it would be much easier to remove such flags if Polish Football Association would like to cooperate, would like to see the problem. But we tried many times, we even cooperated with them, but they are not interested, they don't want to talk about racism in Polish football, they don't want to see that it's a place where hateful message is still present. And it's complicated because not only the chief, Zbigniew Boniek, legendary football player, is not interested and he doesn't like Never Again very much. He even published some threats against us a few years ago because of we want to remove racism from the stadiums, but also the far-right football fans have great impact on the authorities of some clubs. And it's a difficult situation, but no one is interested to solve the problem. And that's the result you can see, which in May, during a football match between Widzew and Ruch Chorzów, hooligans displayed a banner with the so-called Totenkopf, or death's head symbol. It's a characteristic skull used by SS Totenkopfverbände, who served as guards in German concentration camps. It's a unique characteristic symbol, this skull, and with the Celtic cross. And one last example, but also something that is very interesting, it happened in Vienna, in Austria, during a qualification match for the European Championship between Austria and Poland. Polish hooligans displayed a banner with the slogan "Freedom for Janusz Waluś," and with an image of the killer. And in 1993, Janusz Waluś migrated to South Africa and murdered Chris Hani, a local politician and social anti-apartheid activist. For several years, the Polish far-right has voiced its support for Waluś and has called for his release. Waluś is serving a life sentence in South Africa and has never expressed remorse for his crime. Here is the flag and his image, and it's something, it's curious. He murdered in 1993 a very close friend of Mandela and co-worker of Mandela. He was also planning to kill Mandela, and he became, last few years, he became a leader for Polish far-right. And even some members of Polish parliament tried to not to free, but take him to the prison in Poland, to help him, to support him. That's amazing. He is a racial murderer. And now examples of physical attacks. Ząbki is very close to Warsaw. In January, 2 men assaulted a 16-year-old high school student in a public bus. He told, "They started calling me a faggot and an idiot. One of them pulled out a knife, whilst the other one moved ahead to block my access to the driver. He was then punched and threatened multiple times. The boy managed to alert the driver, who stopped the bus, locked the doors, and called the police. The attackers forced the door open and fled the scene. The victim says that he was assaulted due to his appearance. I have long hair and tight trousers. That's why they attacked me. It was in January, and in January 2019, and last few months, starting from spring, it's the time when that is also strange, but it's easy to understand. In spring in Poland started anti-LGBT campaign, and this campaign was started by politicians, because it was shortly before the election to the European Parliament. The leaders of the ruling party, they started suddenly to talk about LGBT. They accused such people to be threat for the traditional Polish families, whatever it means, and the homophobic language started to be used in the public discourse. And you read what Mr. Brown said. He wanted to send homosexual to the jail, and that is also the result and the examples of such language. And as a result of the hateful language, it's simply the more and more aggression attacks against LGBT people. Maybe you know what happened in Białystok during summer. There was a very big march of equality, and it was attacked by far-right members. They attacked, among others, 14-year-old boy. He was broken this bone. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't remember the English word. Yes, and many of the people were attacked. They shouted hateful slogans, and it was comments in Polish media for some time. Many people were interested in it. What happened? And the answer was simply, it was the results of hateful, anti-LGBT, homophobic language. They felt strong enough, these perpetrators, to attack the legal march in a brutal way. March, 37-year-old man attacked his neighbor for homophobic reasons. He shouted to him, "You pedal." Pedal in Polish, it's an abusive term for a gay person, and he punched him in the face. The victim suffered a broken orbital bone. In a statement made to the media, he confirmed that the perpetrator of the attack had been tormenting him for at least a year, and explained, "Whenever he sees me, he calls me a pedal or a whore and tells me to back off from the state." One other example of the broader phenomenon.